All right, so we are back for round two, and we're super lucky, so we won the die roll. Yes. Okay, what do we think about this hand? Got our 2 mana sources. The Nykthos is certainly a little bit awkward here, but we go turn 1, Llanowar Elves. Turn 2, if they don't kill Llanowar Elves, we have access to 3 mana. So we could play like Elite or Visionary. Probably Elite first. Yeah, this is a little bit tricky. I guess without having a lot of experience with this deck, I'm not sure whether it makes sense to keep hands like this. Like, it certainly doesn't do anything crazy, but it does seemingly curve out, and we should have options via Collected Company and with Sylvan Messenger. So, all right, I'm going to try it. You guys can hit me up on Twitter and let me know how bad that was. Or YouTube, for that matter. That also works. So we will see. The Llanowar Wastes, definitely not the ideal option because in situations like this, we're taking damage off our lands, which is something that we shouldn't really need to do in what is essentially a mono green deck. And this can definitely bite us if we're playing against something like Burn, where we are taking unnecessary damage, basically due to budgetary concerns. All right, opponent cracks their Polluted Delta. So we see a Steam Vents first. So my first guess was that it was Grixis Control, but usually they don't play Sleight of Hand. Sleight of Hand is a card that maybe you would play in Storm. That's my guess. All right, so I got a Blooming Marsh. All right, so our options here are we could play Elvish Visionary, because if we hit a 1-drop, we could certainly play it, which is a little bit enticing to me. But we could also just play Dwynen's Elite. This is interesting. I'm not sure how much the damage is going to matter, but while our opponent's tapped out and can't interact with us, it might make sense to play the Dwynen's Elite. Either way, we have access to Collected Company next turn. So I think the fact that we're putting a little bit more pressure on our opponent makes sense to me to play the Elite. Just regular 6, not F6. I'm still getting used to this whole thing on the bottom of the screen. Okay, another Sleight of Hand. Unfortunately, Sleight of Hand doesn't give you a lot of info either about what we're playing against aside from. All right, so they discarded to hand size, so they're desperately searching for a land. So I mean, at this point, with Sleight of Hand and Serum Visions, to me, this is basically just says that it's Storm. I think I like just playing Collected Company here pre-combat. Mostly, like I said, for the Elvish Archdruid. All right, well, we did hit an Elvish Archdruid, but this was an unfortunate Collected Company. Okay. And we will smash. So, I mean, this game looks good for us anyways because our opponent is really not doing a lot. I mean, even if they hit their land here, they'd have to have a pretty crazy sequence of... I can see why the opponent kept the one-lander. When you have multiple 1-mana cantrips, because you just assume that you will get yourself out of it. Alright, yeah, Gifts Ungiven is not going to do too much. I'm just trying to think. I feel like we can basically just play out our hand. Because right now we're not killing our opponent. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Put them to 2. I don't think that decks like this tend to play any kind of sweeper effects, pyroclasm, or anything we need to play around. So we're just going to do the fun thing, and we are just going to empty out our hand. I'm going to play as many elves as I can first before activating Archdruid, because that makes sense. We get to add more mana. Want to save the Nykthos. Okay, green. Visionary. Okay. We will tap Archdruid, and we will add some green mana. Alright, so now we got 10 mana. So let's Sylvan Messenger first. And we got Heritage Druid and Nettle Sentinel. And we can put the rest on any order. This is crazy. I got Heritage Druid, Nettle Sentinel. Let's tap 1, 2, 3. Oh, well. Tap these ones. This is great. I'm really enjoying this, because we're just showing off at this point. Yeah, let's go ahead and use that ability. All right, can we just kill our opponent? I think so. All right, let's just. We're gonna do it for 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. Okay. And I think we just grab Shaman in the pack. The other option would be to get Zuri, but I think we just have enough here. Just kill our opponent. Well, that was a pretty lucky game for us, because our opponent just never hit a second land drop. I think in general, Storm probably kills roughly as fast as Elves, maybe a little bit faster. So we don't want Fracturing Gust, because I don't think it does anything. Essence Warden doesn't really do anything. Evolutionary Leap is not really a grindy matchup. Scavenging Ooze is a card we could bring in, and I think it's probably worthwhile, because it stops Past in Flames potentially. We could bring in these Chokes. I imagine that they do have a lot of blue mana. Blue mana. Obviously, they have a lot of blue mana, but that the majority of their lands, I think, are probably islands. All right. I kind of want to try it, but now we got to figure out what to cut. So I think we want to cut Sylvan Messenger, because it's definitely very slow. It was good in that game, but we also didn't really need it. Reclamation Sage. I don't think that any of these lists are playing Ascension anymore. I think that they're just on Baral, and Goblin Electromancer to reduce the cost, and then just chain a bunch of spells together. So I don't think we need it. We can always side it back in game 3 if we are totally mistaken. And then I think we maybe want to cut one of these Elvish Visionaries, because it doesn't put a lot of pressure on our opponent. So let's try that. This deck feels good so far. Okay, this is an interesting one. So basically, we have the Heritage Druid Nettle Sentinel kind of combo, but these are the only 2 elves in our hand. If we draw another 1-drop, or we draw Dwynen's Elite. We have a pretty reasonable hand. The 4 lands, a little bit slow. This is interesting. I don't think that this is a great hand. And I don't think it really puts a lot of pressure on our opponent. So I think I'm going to mulligan it. Alright, this one I actually think is better. We do need the second land. But we could potentially scry into one, and if our opponent doesn't bolt our first turn Llanowar Elves, then we're probably okay. So let's keep this. And we have that Nettle Sentinel to go with our Heritage Druid. This is interesting. So if we go first turn Llanowar Elves, second turn... I don't think we need it. I think it's probably more important to try to hit the land drop. Once again, could be a mistake. We shall see. Yep. All right. Opponent cracks a Scalding Tarn. We'll let them do that. And yeah, hopefully we don't get another free win like the last time. All right, got their sleight of hand. All right, so we didn't hit the land, but we'll jam this Llanowar Elves. And I'm playing the Llanowar Elves because if we do draw the land, then we can play Heritage Druid and Dwynen's Elite and have the 3 mana so that we can play Elvish Visionary and then potentially another 1-drop if we draw it. Possible our opponent has some counter magic. I'm not entirely sure. If they play something like Remand, we'd obviously rather play Heritage Druid here. It's kind of tough. I could also see the argument just for playing Visionary to try to hit that second land. How greedy is that? We have 18 lands in the deck, so we have 17 left. I have 52 cards. Interesting. Like I said, against Remand, we'd rather play the Heritage Druid. In general, assuming our opponent doesn't interact with us, I would want to play the Dwynen's Elite, because then we could play Heritage Druid next turn. This is tough. I really don't know. I think I want to go for the greedy play. I want to play the Elvish Visionary because I would really like to hit the land. Huzzah. And then we'll play the Heritage Druid. Cool. All right, well, we were rewarded for our play there. Our potentially greedy play. or we were punished. Yeah, Anger of the Gods is certainly a real card. And also, it's also so much worse because like Dwynen's Elite by itself, not exactly a fantastic beater. It's a little bit unfortunate too because our opener that had 4 lands, 2 Mana Dorks and Collected Company probably would have been better against his hand. All right, opponent just going right for it. We will allow them to do whatever they want because we're not gonna disrupt them. So this is turn 4, and I think we killed our Tron opponent on our turn 4. So roughly equivalent speeds, but having something like Anger of the Gods where we have no way to disrupt them, it feels like it's probably pretty favorable for them. All right. So they have Empty the Warrens, and we didn't draw the land. So we can block a Goblin and take 15. Yeah, there's just no way we're coming back from this one. We'll concede this game. All right, so I'm not sure exactly if I could have played much differently. I could have not ran out my hand, but I still probably would have lost to them storming out and playing Empty the Warrens. So I'm not really too upset about that. I think for the most part, my sideboarding seems fine. Essence Warden wouldn't really have even been that great there. Would have bought me a turn, but that's not really enough. All right. Yes, we'd like to play first. All right. This hand seems good. It also seems not great against Anger of the Gods, but you know, it kind of is what it is. I think our plan is to play Llanowar Elves into Archdruid, and then I'll be able to keep up mana for Collected Company. Our opponent mulliganed to 5 cards. Or mulligan to 6. We're seeing if they mulligan to 5. Cool. Still trying to figure out whether how good Choke is in this matchup. It's like if we draw it like right now instead of the Azuri, we could play it, but then our opponent could pretty easily play around it, especially with the Spire Bluff Canal. Yeah, I think I still like the just play Archdruid here. Okay, I've got Barrel. So that says to me that I don't imagine they're gonna anger. Huh. This is kind of interesting. What do we do here? So if I imagine that they can't combo on their turn, I'm also trying to think about pushing through damage now, because we have a bunch of mana. We have the Nykthos, which doesn't really add much at this point, but potentially could. If I just want to empty out my hand and pretend like they probably don't have anger, it's like I play Heritage Druid, then I play Nykthos, tap Archdruid for 3, activate Nykthos, which is would generate 2 mana. So I got 3, it's 5. So I mean that would allow us to collect a company, and then we're kind of all in on the collected company. Interesting. Okay. I think my plan is going to be to play Heritage Druid. And then I will have enough to collect a company on their turn. So that way I potentially avoid getting blown out by something like Anger of the Gods. Though it is worse against counter magic. It's much worse against counter magic, really. But I'm not entirely sure how much counter magic this deck actually plays, so yep. At this point, we're mostly just hoping that they don't go off this turn. We don't really have a way to stop that. So nice lands. I don't know how much the Guru lands are online. just using this this crappy forest because I had like 17 of them. So, all right. I don't like that they're playing Manamorphose. So you tend to not play Manamorphose unless you can go off. Okay. Okay, so it's also interesting because I'm trying to think if there is... All right, so I'm going to Gifts Ungiven. Okay. So I think we're going to allow them to Gifts Ungiven. Okay. One. Basically what I'm thinking about right now is that it might be worthwhile to try to collect a company into Scavenging Ooze so we can potentially disrupt the Past in Flames. But I'm not actually sure if we're there yet. Okay. So, which ones do we want to put in their hand? These are basically just the same thing, right? So I think we're going to put Past in Flames into their hand. Is that right? The flashback is 5. Doesn't matter. Okay, put this and a ritual in the graveyard. So basically they have a ritual in hand. Oh. I just did that backwards. I did that not the way I wanted to. Yeah, just flat out made the incorrect play. Okay. So I think I want to try to collect a company here. Because if I can eat the Desperate Ritual, that might make a difference. So let's try this. 3. And then we will... So I have the Heritage Druid in play. So I want to save the Nykthos, I think. All right, I might be doing this wrong. I mean, this is only relevant if we get the Scavenging Ooze. And even then, I think we might just be dead here. All right, so we got a Dwynen's Elite, and I think we'll just play that in Shaman of the Pack. Yeah. Doesn't go at the bottom in any order. We will click this one because we want to resolve last. Is that the way it works? Oh, yeah, I did it backwards. Ah, I'm terrible. All right, well, I don't... Well, it's 2 damage, so it actually could totally make a difference. All right. So I think our opponent probably has the kill here. But in the event that they have something like Empty the Warrens, we, I believe, should have enough in Trample to kill them. So... we're just going to let our opponent do whatever they want. The old F6. Yeah, I think I did mess up the gifts pile though. Presuming I had a way to, presuming I did hit the Scavenging Ooze, because I could have put it in the graveyard and they wouldn't have had enough mana to flash it back. In response to one of the rituals they play, I collect a company, hit Scavenging Ooze, remove the Past in Flames from the graveyard. So that was definitely the play. So our opponent's storm count is 18. So if they have the Grape Shot, we're definitely dead. If they have the Empty the Warrens, we're probably also dead. Okay. So I just don't think it matters at this point. But if we have any viewers who are unfamiliar with how Storm works, I'm just going to let our opponent do their thing. I think at this point, they just get Past in Flames and Grape Shot. And they have enough to flash back the Past in Flames and play the Grape Shot. Or, I mean, I guess they could get a 4. Yeah, okay. So this doesn't matter. Grape Shot, we don't want to put it in their hand for sure. But Past in Flames going in the graveyard, yeah, it doesn't matter. I'll put these 2 in the graveyard. But it does not matter. So, yeah, like I said, this seems like it's not a great matchup. We had them on the following turn if it took them an additional turn to kill us, because we had the Azuri. But these decks are maybe a little bit faster, and we just don't have any interaction. So Choke wouldn't have really been great this game. We basically stop, keep this one land from being untapped. So in the future, I'm not sure if that's really worth boarding in. It might be worth having additional Scavenging Oozes in the graveyard. Our opponent's just showing off now. I don't think that there's any way we can stop them. It is interesting though if we had I guess Fairy Macabre. When they were playing one of the sorceries, we could have exiled their Grape Shot. Not that that's a real thing. So yeah, opponent is nugging us for 28. So we're super dead, and we'll just concede at this point. Cool. I don't think that they're gonna mess that up. All right, so we'll update our roster. Our Storm, and we went 1-2. So not great, but seems like a bad matchup.